Kit, before joining the show, were you familiar with the graphic novel by Alice Oseman?
I did know of it. I hadn't actually read it before, but then when I got my first audition, I read through the first volume because they sent it to me, and just immediately was like, yeah, I need to be a part of this. And then as my auditioning process kept on going forward, I ended up sort of just quite quickly reading the rest of the volumes, and yeah, kind of fell in love with it.
What about you, Joe?
I had a friend who was a really, really big fan of it, and then she was like, "Joe, you need to read this." I was like, "I will. I read all I think all the 3 volumes that were out at that point, like all of them in one night. I love it so much. I instantly just fell in love with it. It was great.
Now, Joe, was it daunting for you to be playing such a beloved character as your first role of your TV career?
Yes and no. I feel like yes, because there's such an amazing fan base and such a huge already pre-existing love for Charlie. But also knowing that the fan base and Alice are so loving, and I felt like I was there was pressure there, but it was sort of like a nice pressure. Like there was a lot of lovely people who were very supportive of everything that Alice does, and trusting of Alice that if she's chosen us, then they're really supportive of that.
Okay, what was it like for you to play such a popular guy as Nick? Are you anything like him at school?
I definitely can't say I'm as popular as Nick Nelson is. I think he's.
Are you going to be?
No, definitely not. He's so I think what I always say about Nick is that he's so effortlessly popular because he's good at rugby and he's easy to talk to, and he's quite nice, so people are sort of immediately attracted to be friends with him. Well, I'm not saying I'm not, but I think thank you, but really he attracts this kind of popularity. I think I often say that sometimes because I'm an actor, that might lead to certain people wanting to talk to me at school, for example. But yeah, I think I always try to be as nice and as sort of genuine as he is. And I'd love to say that I was as good a person as he is, but yeah.
And well, when it comes to popularity, both for Nick and in your case as an actor, would you consider popularity a blessing or a curse?
I think that's a great question, but I think it's both. Obviously popularity can be good because you have friends, you have a friendship group, a support system, but then at the same time it does kind of lead to these pressures and these sort of social pressures, and that can be quite damaging and quite negative for a lot of people, especially growing up in a school. Yeah.
Joe, do you and Charlie share any similarities?
I always see Charlie as sort of a more introverted version of myself, but then also he's confident in ways that I could never be. I could never join a rugby team because of someone I like. That's takes a level of confidence that I could just do not have. And I think that he's so loving and kind, and I hope that if anything I take from Charlie and learn and hopefully bring into my own life as well, because he's just such a lovely person. There's a quote in Solitaire, one of Alice's other novels, where Tori describes Charlie as just a nice person and how underrated that is to describe someone.
Now, Heartstopper is also a beautiful story in how sometimes love blindsides us and changes us forever. Do you think that love comes along, or do you think that one has to work for it?
I don't say that love at first sight doesn't exist, because I think you can sort of meet someone and just be absolutely transfixed by them and just be in awe of them and really be in awe of them sort of from the moment you meet them till the rest of your life. At the same time, love is something that can absolutely grow and can be worked on, and certain things that you might meet someone and you might not sort of immediately even like them, or you got the classic enemies to lovers kind of thing, and so I think that love is not a one size fits all kind of thing.
Yeah, I think especially in the show, it shows that although you can be in love with someone when you first meet them, it's all about growing together and becoming a pair, which I think is really, really nice.
And Joe, would you say that opposites do attract?
I think, sure, I think that people who are suited together don't necessarily like the same things. Especially, I think at the heart of it, Charlie probably really doesn't like rugby, and he's only really doing it because Nick likes rugby and it's to be with Nick. So I think it's definitely, and definitely I think you can be suited for each other while not liking the same things. I think sometimes that can be a nice thing as well.
So just as long as you complement each other, that's all.
Yeah.
Despite how much the movie and the TV industry have progressed, there are still a lot of actors, especially up and coming ones, who may be fearful of taking up a role such as Nick's or Charlie's in a show like Heartstopper. Did you ever think twice about the possibility, this kind of possibility, before joining the show, or did you have any fear of being typecast?
Absolutely not. I think Nick is an incredibly sort of nuanced character and a role that I really wanted to play. And I think that in a lot of ways, although, for example, if you know, there are so many different parts of his character, and no one in this show is firstly no one is like completely sort of defined by their sexuality or anything like that. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because they're all so nuanced and their characters are so layered and complex. And I think that, you know, playing a role like Nick is a real honor and a real privilege for an actor, any actor, to play. And I think that me as an actor, you know, getting offered the role, it was just like a pinch me moment, because, you know, how could you not want to play a role like that?
Yeah.
Joe, what does it mean to you to be bringing to the screen such an uplifting love story about queer youth? Because I mean, up until 10 years ago, before Glee came along, none of this would seem possible.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think any queer stories, it's great that they're starting to be told. I think it's especially great that, like, we're telling a queer story that isn't just about AIDS or isn't just about the negative aspects of being queer. And it's about more of the positive things, because I think although those stories are incredibly important to be told, it's also just as important to tell the nice stories and the great things about being queer. I think there's been so many times of this sort of show being about straight people, and so it's really lovely that finally a love story rather than a bad story is set out in queer people. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all about queer joy, Heartstopper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious as to know, what would you say is the secret to Heartstoppers?
I think it's just love. Love in all of its different forms, whether that be a relationship or friendship.
Yeah, I think it's everything from love to self-discovery to self-acceptance to self-love, and it's all that really cycle of love and loving everyone around you, including yourself, and general kind of acceptance.
Now, do you have any word on a potential season 2? Because I mean, people are already asking for it. Source material definitely isn't lacking.
Honestly, if people like the first season and we are asked back, then I would be more than happy to. I would love to go back and give Nick another season, as I'm sure you would say the same.
Joe, what is your personal highlight of this experience?
I've definitely come into myself a lot in the last year since this whole it's all started. I've always wanted to be an actor, and so I never thought it would actually happen. So now it's happened. It's sort of like a real surreal thing. It's like, it's very, very, it's amazing. Yeah.